Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be translating and summarizing the latest Urdu broadcast by Shahbaz Gill to make it accessible for our English-speaking audience. Let's go through the key developments and insights in Shahbaz Gill's words. In today's most important news, the first major topic is that Rana Sanola's residence has been termed a national security issue. Yes, in Faisalabad, leaders and workers of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf or PTI have been sentenced to 10 and 3 years in prison, with 75 people receiving sentences. The reason cited is national security. But which security centre was attacked? The allegation is that 109 people attacked Rana Sanola's residence. An FIR was filed, and out of these 109 people, 34 were acquitted today, declared innocent, and the remaining 75 were sentenced. The prominent leaders involved in this sentencing include media, images of Umar Ayub, images of Shibli Faraz, images of Zartaj Gul, images of Sheikh Rashid, group photos of PTI leaders in court, Umar Ayub, Shibli Faraz, Zartaj Gul, Raya Hassan Nawaz, Sheikh Rashid, Shafiq Farah, Kamal Shozab, Ismail Sila, MPA Shahid Javed, and 59 other PTI leaders who were sentenced to 10 years in prison, while around 16 others received 3-year sentences. So, a total of 75 people were sentenced and 34 out of 109 were acquitted. After this, Fawad Chaudhry, Zartaj Gul, Shibli Faraz, Ahmed Chatha, Sheikh Rashid Shafiq, and many others who were not even present at the scene, have also been sentenced to 10 years. Fawad Chaudhry was lucky because his lawyers represented him, and he was freed. Similarly, other individuals who weren't present, as I mentioned earlier, were still handed 10-year sentences. These names I've mentioned weren't physically present there and couldn't have been, but still, they've received 10-year sentences. Right now, the 10-year sentence is becoming common because Field Marshal Sahib wants to remain in power for at least 10 more years. Everything is now measured in 10-year increments. Any decision, any law, everything is fit into a 10-year framework. Even sentences are being handed out with a 10-year timeline. However, this isn't the first time such things have happened. Previously in Faisalabad, a fabricated case was filed outside the ISI office, where I was also named, even though I had been in the United States at the time. The case falsely stated that I had thrown stones, broken windows, attacked people and injured them, even though I had been in the United States for 20 days before the incident. These kinds of fabricated cases have been made repeatedly, and people have been sentenced. Similarly, in Faisalabad, in this FIR, sentences were handed down. There are also related cases being fabricated in Rawalpindi concerning GHQ, but it's important to note that all the CCTV footage of these incidents was stolen. No irrefutable evidence was presented to the judges. The decisions were simply handed down. Coming back to the political situation, there is now a heated debate in PTI about whether to participate in the upcoming by-elections. The question is whether PTI should contest these elections, especially when their leaders have been wrongly convicted. Imran Khan, while in jail, made it clear that PTI should not participate in any elections under the current system. He said that PTI would not contest in constituencies where its leaders had been unjustly convicted. This message was passed on to the political committee, where some members disagreed. They argued that PTI should not vacate the political space and should participate in the elections. After some internal discussion, it was decided that PTI might contest elections in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but avoid Punjab. My stance on this matter is very clear. On June 28th, I made it clear that PTI should not legitimize this system by participating in these elections. We've already discussed that clip before. We made it clear on June 28th, 2025, that PTI should not recognize this system's legitimacy. It's a flawed process. PTI is not fighting against a normal political party or even a dictator following democratic processes. PTI is fighting against a regime that engages in extreme actions, like forcibly taking nomination papers, abducting people for false statements, and using other authoritarian tactics. These are things that even dictators didn't do. So when it comes to whether or not to contest the elections, we have to ask ourselves, what will we gain by winning 8 to 15 seats in the Punjab Assembly or the National Assembly? Will it make any real difference? The answer is no. We won't be able to make constitutional amendments. If we win, it won't prove anything new. Everyone knows that 90% of the country is still with Imran Khan. Winning will not bring any additional benefit. On the other hand, if PTI loses, it will only give legitimacy to the current regime. The world will say PTI participated, and despite allegations of rigging, the elections went ahead and the winning party got their seats. Some may ask, if PTI boycotts the by-elections, will it also boycott the general elections? My answer is no. The strategy for general elections would be different. If general elections are held under the same conditions, the stakes are much higher. PTI could bring about significant change, just like we did on February 8th, when we exposed the legitimacy issue. Therefore, the strategy for general elections will be different from the by-elections, because PTI's participation in the latter might just lend legitimacy to a flawed system. To summarize, if PTI contests the by-elections, we won't gain much, but we will lose legitimacy. However, in the case of general elections, the scenario changes. PTI would have an opportunity for broader political influence. The next question is, why are you talking about fighting elections in KPK but not in Punjab? Is this some kind of double standard? No, that's not the case. The first reason we're not fighting elections is due to two main reasons. First, our people are being forced to vacate the wrong seats, and on top of that, we know that once these seats are vacated, rigging will happen and people will be made to win from there. The seats will then be filled and we will be sidelined. Now, up until now, thank God, none of our members have been declared ineligible. No such seat has been vacated yet and no by-election has occurred, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Secondly, let's assume that the situation does arise. Even then, they don't have the chance to rig elections in KPK in that manner. You've seen this before. That's why we have our government in KPK. There is an overwhelming majority there, and besides, the generals don't like it if PTI is out of power. The situation would get out of control for them. KPK is already on the verge of becoming like Balochistan, and they wouldn't be able to handle it. Otherwise, if they could, they would have removed PTI from power in the first 15 days. If they let it form, they would have created a forward bloc or done something to remove them within the first month. They cannot afford to lose the province. This is why, up till now, they haven't declared anyone ineligible in KPK. In my analysis, there isn't likely to be any such development at a higher level in the near future. It might be wrong, but when it happens, we'll decide then. My point is, elections should be fought in KPK because they can't rig as easily there. Whether we win or lose, it makes a difference. We have the government there. If we win, we'll retain it. If we lose, of course, it's a loss. But if we win, there's something to gain. In Punjab, even KPK's National Assembly seats don't seem worth fighting for because the seats that have become vacant in KPK, like those of Umar Ayub or Shibli Faraz in the Senate, make a difference. But so far, none of our MPAs have been declared ineligible. So, when any MPA's elections take place in KPK, we should definitely contest them. In the Senate elections, whether we contest or not, doesn't make a huge difference to our party or our struggle. What matters is that if we don't contest, we lose legitimacy. That's where it matters. So I've tried to explain almost all the questions you have in your minds. Why shouldn't we leave a vacuum in politics? What we stand to gain if we win, what we lose if we lose, what the impact is on our health, why fight in KPK and not Punjab. I'm only talking about provincial assembly seats in KPK. If we fight and win, our government is retained. There's the benefit. Let's play this game, take the risk of Form 47. But in Punjab or the federal context, there's nothing to gain. So why give them legitimacy? Finally, the last thing I'll summarize is that if we don't give them legitimacy, the international community will question them. What's going on? If a general election happens now, we should definitely contest because we can make a difference. We can achieve something even in just a few seats. Now, moving on, the generals have decided that the issue of Imran Khan can be solved without an apology. You must have seen that initially they were asking for an apology. Imran Khan was supposed to apologize, confess his sins, and so on. Arshad has said that now the generals have decided not to demand an apology from Imran Khan, because every time they ask him to apologize, he exposes them. He reveals all the corruption from May 9th and lays it out in front of the nation. Asad Tour's analysis is correct, and this is why they have moved away from demanding an apology. Ansar Abbasi has written that Imran Khan's troubles can be eased without him apologizing. Imran Khan just needs to change his strategy, not speak against the army and not let his social media or anyone else speak against it. I believe that this would lessen his and PTI's difficulties. History shows that, except for a few examples, cases against politicians are usually dropped. Ansar Abbasi said this. Now, Ansar Abbasi's views come from the generals, but his opinions are those of a mid-level stooge. He's not a high-ranking official, nor is he a low-level one. He's a mid-level pawn. And when he speaks, it's a setup, a table story at the general's command. With all due respect, he indulges in shameless journalism. There are no principles, no ethics, just parroting whatever he's told to say. But since the message from their side has come that Imran Khan's problems can be eased without him apologizing, then the generals have moved away from demanding an apology. In other words, they have already apologized in their own way. Let's move on to the point they raised. Don't speak against the military. If a general seizes power, like the army chief who doesn't want to go home and tries to extend his tenure from 3 to 10 years, using manipulation, putting people in jails, pressuring the media and undermining the judiciary, all to stay in power. Then when you criticize the army chief, you are not criticizing the army. You're actually helping the army because there are so many other capable officers within the army who want to rise to the top, but are being blocked by these generals. So criticizing a few generals doesn't equate to criticizing the army. A new sacred cow has emerged. If you criticize a general, it means you're criticizing the army itself. This narrative is false. In the past, we didn't criticize the army, even when they failed during confrontations with India. Everything was handled by the Air Force, and later the Field Marshal tried to take credit for it. But that narrative didn't stick because everyone knew it was the Air Force's effort. Now the narrative of criticizing the army is being pushed, but we need to question these generals. They have broken the Constitution and they should be in jail, not beyond reproach. To conclude, Ansar Abbasi has suggested that no one should criticize the generals, but if they're claiming that Imran Khan and his wife should be freed from prison and in return they will stop criticizing the generals, then I'm open to the idea. If they release Bushra Bibi and Yasmin Rashid within 48 hours, I promise that for the next 15 days we won't mention their names. After that, if we resume mentioning them, we'll do so with full respect, lowering our heads. But this is a gesture of goodwill. Release Imran Khan's wife and Yasmin Rashid first. If they do that, then we'll stop criticizing them. That wraps up our translation of Shahbaz Gill's video. I hope this English version helped you understand his message better. Please like, share and subscribe to Awami Lens to help our community grow. Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what you thought of this effort.